Most bankers aren't ready to help you until after their third cup of coffee. But with Central National Bank's after-hours service, you don't have to wait for the bank lobby to open to get help. You can contact us from 6 to 8:30 in the morning or from 5 to 10 in the evening, and we'll connect you to a real, live, local person who can answer questions and fix problems 7 days a week. Bank different. Bank Central. Central National Bank. Member FDIC.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Through the night, deep in the heart of Texas, the trailer park is nice and dark. Deep in the heart of Texas, that drinks his brew and he spits his chew. Deep in the heart of Texas, the TV blares but no one cares. Deep in the heart of Texas, here we go.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to King of the Hill podcast. I am Mike.
And I'm Rusty.
Rusty, Season 5, Episode 7.
Yeah, Episode 7.
What makes Bobby run? I like this one.
It's all right.
It goes really quick.
It's a fast episode. And there's not like a whole lot for like facts and stuff either. Artie said there wasn't like a whole lot of notes that he could give me.
The way I judge these now is by how many pages it takes me to print out the script. Right?
Okay, how many pages was this one?
I think this one was only 8.
8?
And look, the last page is like nothing.
Oh, it's not even a page.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like not even a quarter of a page.
There's a lot of like sneaking around and different things that happen in this one where there's not a ton of dialogue. So that takes up that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so we start this sucker. We got no bell, no yell.
No bell, no yell.
We are at Tom Landry Middle School. Going into the yearbook office, there's a sign that says yearbook office, all quotable quotes final.
Yep.
So I guess if they quote you, they're not changing it. Bobby goes into the yearbook office so he can see Connie. He pretends to sneeze and then throws a bunch of photos on the table.
Yeah. He does his little slapstick comedy.
Yeah, he's trying to get more pictures of himself in the yearbook is all it is.
That's it, yeah.
He says, hey, look, here's a few more pictures of a certain yearbook editor's boyfriend. Look at this one of me with a French fry up my nose. I mean, it's just Bobby's so proud of his cute little photos. Connie says, that's okay, Bobby. I already have your class photo. He goes, that's it? But I'm a sure bet for class clown. Shouldn't that get me some coverage? She goes, the PTA said we can't do 8th grade poll anymore. What? Why not? Last year's worst dresser turned out to be really poor. That's a great joke.
That is a great joke.
Last year's worst dresser was poor.
That's terrible.
All right, so Bobby says, now, I'm no different from any other kid. I'm like Stu Harriet or Mike Soto, which we've never heard of Mike Soto, right?
No, actually, Mike Soto is we haven't heard of him yet. I think this is the first instance where they mention him, but he will eventually be mentioned again in Dale Be Not Proud, Season 8, Episode 4, when Bobby takes over the morning announcements.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, Season 5, Episode 13, where Mike Soto and his mother meet Peggy at the library when Peggy was dressed as a prostitute.
Oh, yeah.
And then Mike Soto's father is a police officer in the Arlington Police Department who is also a substitute teacher at Tom Landry Middle School. They appeared in Bad Girls, What You Gonna Do, Season 7, Episode 3. He's actually a judge in the science fair where Bobby makes meth.
Oh, wow, really?
That episode where Bobby makes dope. And that's shout out to Artie for all that, man. Appreciate you, man.
So Soto, it's funny because he is just he's a actual ass in this thing, and
Yeah,
we've never really heard of him.
Nah,
but
this is the first time you
just-
ever hear of him.
I find
first
it
instance of
hilarious
anyway.
when we get a brand new guy that we've never heard of, and he's just a dick.
Yeah,
You know
total
what I'm saying?
asshole.
He's got those 2 buck teeth up front too, it just makes it even better. He goes, now I'm no different from any other kid, like a Stu Harriet or a Mike Soto. No idea who a Stu Harriet is.
Yeah, no clue.
Connie says, actually, Mike is president of the Junior Volunteers Club. Bobby's like, so in 20 years, everybody will remember Mike Soto bowling with blind kids. There's a picture of him. She shows him a picture.
Bowling with blind kids.
Bowling
That's
with
rough.
blind kids. He says, but Bobby's Hill's talking tummy will long forgotten. And then it shows him like squeezing his belly fat
Yeah, making
together,
his stomach talk.
Where's
Yeah.
the justice? Yeah. All right, now we're at the Hill House. We're looking through the yearbook. Bobby is reading it. He's laying on the couch with his feet propped up. Hank comes in and says, have you seen my duct tape? Not the shiny silver, but the matte gray. Oh, there's my old Landry lantern. So
The old Landry lantern.
there is a difference between the shiny duct tape and the matte.
What's a
duct tape.
Landry lantern? I'm more
That's
curious
his,
about
that's his
that.
yearbook. That's what it's called.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
called the Landry lantern.
Yeah, it's
I
called a
thought
yearbook.
it was. That's a weird name for a yearbook. Did they do that back when you were younger? They would name
It
the
always
yearbooks.
seemed to be like alliteration of some kind, you know?
Yeah.
Like ours, I think, was the Parkview Patsies or something. I don't know what it was. I
Parkview
I don't
Patsies.
know what it was. It was something with 2 P's. Okay, so he sees a picture of Hank and his friends, you know, all 4 of them, but they're standing under the Tom Landry, or they're standing under the elementary school sign.
Yeah.
But they already look like the guys do. Like Dale's already got a hat on and the whole
Yeah,
thing.
they already look like they do.
Standing there trying to be cool. Anyway, he comes in and he asks for the duct tape. And Bobby says, Dad, do you realize you're in 10 photos, not counting your class photo? Hank says, yeah, that sounds about right. And he sees that he's looking at all the other pictures in the Landry lantern, things like that. And he goes, hey, there's Cleve Worthington and Don Postley, back when he had all his fingers, and Dub Taylor. Boy, he was the best mascot Arlen's ever had. What a wild man. And all the nicknames we had for him. Daffy Dub, Rub-a-Dub-Dub. I guess those were the only 2.
Yeah, that's actually how my dad was when we were going through his yearbook. We'd found one of his, I think it was his senior yearbook, and just sitting there listening to, oh yeah, that's old so and so, or that's old so and so.
So he says, Dad, I was thinking of taking some blind kids bowling.
Yeah, that's an awful way to approach it.
Well,
Yeah,
Hank has 0 reference for this.
yeah,
and,
no reference at all. Just
so-
hey, I want to take some blind kids bowling, Dad.
And so he's
Yeah.
like, Bobby, that's not funny. And he just
At
walks
all.
off, you know, he just walks away. Oh, excuse me. All right, now we're at Tom Landry Middle School. Teacher in a music class is Mr. Grandy. He's speaking. He says, the bake sale was a big success, raising enough money to buy a new pewter baton for moi. Give yourselves a big hand, and hats off to Mike Soto for spearheading that. So, again, here's Mike
Yeah,
Soto.
Mike Soto
Yeah.
again.
Bobby is talking to Connie there. He goes, that kid's a machine. Mr. Grandy, you're looking at the next Landry Longhorn. And he says, what makes you think you got what it takes to wear the horns? He says, well, I'm a cut up. I'm a clown. I'll do anything for attention. Remember, that's why you kicked me out of chorus.
Yeah,
Grandy says, tryouts will be after school on Wednesday. I want all pep and no filler. And remember, you'll be performing for a man who's seen a lot of pep in his day. A lot.
yeah, I like that a
lot of
lot
pep.
at the end. Yeah,
So they leave class.
what is pep?
Like vim, vigor, pep.
Oh, I thought it was like
excitement.
street slang for Pepto Bismol.
Pepto-Bismol.
You got some of that pep on you.
Got to get some of that pink stuff. Okay, so now Bobby is looking in a full-length dressing mirror
Yes, he is.
in the garage, and he's got his headband on. He's
Yeah.
dressed up like he's going to go do some aerobics or something.
Yeah, he dressed
right?
up like somebody you'd see in one of them 80s videos,
Uh-huh.
spandex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He says, my name is Bobby. I like to party, and if you don't believe
And
me,
you
watch me shake my body.
body.
And he starts shaking his ass. Hank comes out. He's like, Bobby, that mirror is from practice.
Blah.
He said, that mirror is for practicing golf swings, not your prop comedy. I'm coming up.
Isn't that kind of like also kind of
it is
suspect?
Yeah.
He's out there standing in the mirror practicing golf
Yeah.
swings.
Yeah.
For we'll do like a call to action here. So for all of the fans listening, go to our social media and message me what you practice in the mirror.
Tell us what you do in your full length.
Yeah, I want to know what you practice in your mirror.
For myself, I just stand there and say Bloody Mary over and over
I tried
until
that,
it gets
yeah.
dark, and then I just leave.
I tried that, but
Yeah.
it was a strong whiskey that appeared instead of Bloody Mary.
Well,
yeah.
what I had is I had this guy show up, and I was like, "Who are you?" He goes, "I'm Bloody Marty." And I was like, "Well, you're the wrong
Bloody
one." And so I
Marty,
sent
yeah,
him
wrong
away.
one.
Yeah, I just sent Bloody Marty away. He goes, "Bobby, that mirror's for practicing golf swings, not your prop comedy." He says, "I'm coming up with shtick for the Longhorn auditions." He goes, "You're going out for the Landry Longhorn? So you're not prancing around the garage at all. You're training." You know, when he first saw Bobby, he closes the garage door.
Yeah.
And now that he knows he's trying out for something even remotely sports related, he's like, "Oh shit!" Then everybody needs to see this.
Everybody needs to see it. Yeah.
He goes,
Even though it's still kind of like, that's the thing I like about Hank, though, is it doesn't matter what he's doing in the world of athletics,
Yeah.
as long as he's doing something athletic.
"Oh sure,"
Because generally, you know,
or just around it.
he's doing this mascot thing. You know, who wants their kid to be the mascot?
yeah.
Other than, you know, I mean, if my kid wanted to be the mascot, I would full force behind him. You know, kind of thing. I'm not like Hank, but it's kind of weird that he has all these weird notions about all the stuff Bobby wants to do, but as long as it's adjacent or
Oh, yeah, it needs
like
to
even
be-
the cheerleading thing, he was kind of like
Sports adjacent.
yeah, as long as he's next to the sports or standing on the field or something.
So he says, you're going out for the Landry Longhorn, so you're not prancing around the garage at all. You're training." And he lifts the garage door back up. He goes, "Yeah, but I need an angle, a hook of some kind, or boffo gimmick to set me apart." Hank says, "Well, how about your own set of horns? I bet I could rig something up." He goes, "Dad, you would build me a prop? In this case, son, yes, I would." I mean,
Real quick, Artie
Yeah.
has a fact I wanted to go ahead and knock out
Do
real
it.
fast since we're talking about mascots. So mascots are kind of weird. I've always thought that, why do we have to have a mascot? What is the point of a mascot? The first recorded mascot was Yale University in 1889, an English bulldog named Handsome Dan. So that's the first recorded instance of one, which for anybody
like a college sports
like a college.
mascot you're talking
But if
about,
anybody knows anything about collegiate sports history, a lot of the early it's Yale and Harvard and stuff like that. It's like them big colleges that had or not big colleges, but prestigious
League,
universities that had all the intramural sports
Sure.
and stuff going on, football and.
Sure.
That's the development of the college football that we watch now. Started off in these colleges and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I have always been fascinated with mascots, and it's not just college stuff. I like fast food mascots and mascots for pro teams and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I just think it's some of it.
Don't you have a podcast about that?
Not
No,
yet.
you have a food podcast.
Yeah, I got a food podcast, but I did want to start one about mascots.
Well,
at
maybe,
some
maybe we
point.
could do that. That'd be fun.
I just love diving.
There's a lot of history to go through for
Like when
that.
you go
Lots
through,
of it.
Like when you go through the story of the McDonald's Land characters, that's a wonderful story because it's Sid and Marty Krofft. They end up suing McDonald's and all this stuff. I mean, it's a great story.
Yeah.
And those characters are scary as hell. Like
Oh,
the
they are.
original ones. Oh,
Oh,
God.
the original Grimace.
Fucking acid trip,
awful.
man. Yeah, it's rough. Okay, so now we're at the school Longhorn tryouts. Mr. Grandy is there. Mike Soto is already up there flag dancing.
Ready to go.
He lands with the flag, and he lands in the splits, just like, ooh, Mike Soto. Bobby says, "Ah, dang, Mike Soto, where does he find the time?" And then he lands with the splits, and he goes, "I'll give him this. He is flexible." Now we hear Mr. Grandy. He says, "This is really heating up." Next victim, Bobby Hill. I love it when people think that's funny.
Yeah.
He says, "Bobby, would you like Arlen fight, 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 or We Are the Landry Men? Fight, fight, fight." And so I love how both of them end with the words fight, fight, fight.
Yeah.
He's got a tape and a boombox, and he's asking him what kind of music he wants. He goes, "Thank you, sir, but I brought my own tape." And he puts it in. And, of course, we hear the opening stanza for Bust a Move.
Bust a Move by MC.
MC Spittledust.
MC. Hold on, he's got it right here. I can't remember. Young MC.
Oh,
Bust
Young
a Move
MC,
by
that makes
Young
sense.
MC.
Yeah. He's got his horn helmet on. He's plowing through banners as the cheerleaders are holding it up. I mean, he's putting on a show.
Yeah, real
you
good
know?
show.
Yeah. And he says, "Please hold your applause. Tom Landry Middle School." He says, "Good night, Tom Landry Middle School." And he's just like he puts on an entire show.
Yeah, he does. He does
does
really
the worm,
good. He
he's
does Bobby. He goes out there
breakdancing
and just
and
does
stuff.
the whole Bobby thing.
Oh, yeah. And he jumps up on the judge's desk at the end for his big ta-da, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now we're in the alley with all 4 of the guys, and we get yep. And then a cell phone rings. Now it's a very old like flip phone cell phone that's ringing.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't think we had smartphones in the world at this point.
Bill answers it. Bill Dotry. Hey, I'm talking on it right now. Yeah, all right. Talk to you later. Bye. He hangs it up, and he looks over at the guys and goes, that was Jimmy, the guy who sold me the phone. The only person.
That's probably about the only people that were going to call you back then who had phones. It'd be the person who sold it to you. Yeah.
All right, so in comes Bobby. He says, I did it, Dad. I'm the Longhorn. He's still dressed up like the Longhorn.
Mm-hmm.
Hank says, way to go, Bobby. That's great. And this is the weird little interaction here. I don't know. It feels so weird and non-fleshed out because Hank says, way to go, Bobby, that's great. And then Dale responds with, way to go, Bobby, that's great. I mean, exactly the same. Which I don't understand. Dale, shut up. I don't know why you're.
Yeah, he had no reason to say
you
that at all.
doing
Like a
that?
parrot. Yeah.
Yeah. Bobby says, now we're both part of the Arlen football tradition. Longhorns. Hank says, yeah, and look at that. Still got all the rips and tears. He's talking about the costume. Boy, you can almost hear those years of McMain-Berry's whoopings. This calls for a special dinner. I'm going to go tell your mother to make us a special dinner. And then he walks off. Bobby looks at the other guys, and he's like, McMain-Berry whooping? That's like whoop, 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 right? Dale says, no, whooping, as in a big beat down, as in a halftime hammering, as in the McMain-Berry mascot massacre, as it, and he stops. Bobby says, am I missing something? Bill speaks up and says, whenever Arlen is winning, it's a tradition for McMain-Berry, the McMain-Berry band, to charge the Longhorn and give him a pounding. Dale says, it's a real crowd pleaser. And then all of them are like, yeah, man, yeah.
And that's the thing kind of confused me about this, being from Texas and being in Texas high schools.
Yeah.
There ain't no way in hell that we're gonna if
no,
we're up and winning, that we're gonna let
Yeah,
like
it's
there's
not gonna
no
happen.
there's no tradition that would ever start that like that. Just to
No.
clarify for
Now,
people, this is writers taking liberty.
The stealing of the mascots, stuff like
that kind of stuff,
Oh,
stealing of the
absolutely.
mascots,
Sure. Egging.
egging,
Yeah.
toilet papering,
Yeah.
stealing the security guards,
Yeah.
golf cart,
Sure. Having sex with the coach's wife.
letting air out of
Yeah.
somebody's tires, whatever, that kind of stuff. But allowing another team's band
Yeah.
to come in the middle
Well,
of the field in
band, for God's
halftime
sakes, the
and
band.
beat up your mascot. That's
You-
it's funny though. It's great for a TV show,
you
but
get
in
hit
the
with a-
reality of Texas life,
You
that's
getting
not
hit
happening.
with a flute.
Yeah, hit with a flute or a sousaphone, get soused.
You get soused right in the head. Bill speaks up and goes, did your dad used to like scoring that? He goes, your dad used to like scoring that touchdown that got Dub Taylor pounded. He goes, really? Maybe McMain-Berry will take an early lead and hold it for the rest of the game. All of them are like, yeah, that's never going to happen. McMain-Berry, they're just kind of laughing about it.
Yeah.
And, Dale says, yeah, and maybe I'll file a federal income tax return. And he looks at the other guys and he goes, that goes in my big book of so there's.
Yeah.
He's keeping a book of so there's. All right, now we're at the football field. Connie is up in the or she's down on the field with Bobby. She says, if I get a good action shot of you, I'm willing to dump the Model UN spread. And Bobby's got the big garbage can that they roll around that's got the suit in it for the mascot. And on it says, mess with the best, die like the rest, which I think is a little forward for a high school or a middle school, but sure. Bobby says, who cares? McMain-Berry's going to kill me. I'm a lover, I'm not even a lover.
Yeah.
Connie says, then wheel that costume back down to Grandy's office and tell him to find himself another punching bag. He goes, woman, I can't get out of it. Woman, I can't get out of this.
He says it a lot to her.
Uh-huh. He goes, imagine telling your dad you were quitting violin. She says, I do, all the time.
I hate that violin.
Yeah.
You know what my favorite episode is? My favorite, one of my top, like probably maybe 5 or 10.
Yeah.
It's in the top 5. Is the bluegrass episode.
Oh, yeah.
Where they take
Yeah.
her to Branson and she plays the fiddle, and her dad finds out, and they're standing on. She's like standing on a street corner playing the fiddle for coins or whatever, and her and Bobby are standing there, and then. That's the one where you hear Boomhauer, Blue Moon
Yeah,
of
where he starts
Kentucky,
singing
keep on shining.
like a normal person.
I like that, yeah.
So he puts on the suit, he puts on the head, and he heads out to the field. Later during the game, you hear the PA announcer, and at the end of the first quarter, McMain-Berry leads 10-7. The Longhorn is safe for now. And so you see up on the scoreboard Longhorns 7, Javelinas 10. If you don't know what a javelina is,
Javelina.
a javelina is a wild boar.
Yeah, it's a wild pig. It's a wild Texas pig,
Yeah.
and most of them, though, you find in like the southwestern part of Texas or South Texas.
Yeah.
Where we live at, we get a lot of wild hogs, but the hogs that we have that are wild are nuisance hogs. They're what do they call it? Invasive species, and they've bred with wild pigs that are native to the area. And the ones that you get out of here, they're mixed with like a Russian boar. So these wild hogs that you'll get, they'll have these massive tusks and stuff like that, and they're
They tear
really,
up
really
Yeah,
awful.
They tear up everything.
And that's why in Texas you could go and rent, or not rent, but you can go and pay to be taken out in a helicopter, and you could shoot them
Mow 'em
with
down.
40-round
Yeah.
clips
Yeah.
from helicopters. So
Yeah,
America.
They want to get rid of those suckers.
Yeah, they do. They're bad. They tear up farmland is what it is.
What's
And they'll tear up
those?
acres. It's not like
Yeah.
they'll tear up 30 acres in a night.
Yeah.
Not just like a little patch. There's so many of them.
So it's them and the zebra striped mussels in the lakes. Those are our two big invasive species around here. The zebra mussels get on the boats and screw everything up.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were talking about stretch marks on bodybuilders.
Yeah, that's it.
Zebra
mussels. You
Zebra
got it.
stripe muscles.
All right. So
Is that a good one?
That's
yeah,
good.
that's
Yeah, you did. So the PA announcer says the Longhorns safe for now. And then you hear Bobby going back and forth with the crowd. Barry, McMainer, Barry, McMainer, Barry, McMainer, Barry. And so the players start running back out on the field. Bobby says, Longhorns, cheer up, Keegan. No shame in losing to a better team. Like he just really doesn't want to get his ass
he really
kicked.
does not want to get his butt whooped.
Keegan looks at him and goes, hey, those McMainberry scrubs are going down, buddy. You better get ready for a whooping. Bobby's like, oh, yeah, totally. I hope we beat them so bad I get two whoopings. Con up in the stands, he looks over at Hank and Peggy and goes, one more Ireland touchdown, your boy going to be pinata for marching band. Man, this is going to be sweet. I mean, right to their face, you know.
You know what I can't wait for? I really hope that they add in I really hope they find a voice actor for the Con situation, because I know it's a touchy subject in the world we live in. I hope they find a voice actor that's able to do it to where it's spot on, and I hope that we get to see a Hank Hill Con Sufanusen phone Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
because they're all related now.
Yeah.
From what we know,
they should be, at least,
if they aren't, they're doing a disservice to us as fans. But I think it's gonna be fun.
Unless they
fun
got
dynamic.
together and split up.
Yeah, they could be divorced. That would be even funnier if she was. If it was like, I don't know, that might even be better than them being together.
So Keegan, the player, says you better get ready for a whooping. He goes, oh yeah, totally. I hope we beat him so bad I get two whoopings. Con says, I hope your boy gets beat up. Peggy's like, oh, that's funny, Con. Who is that taking pictures of your daughter taking pictures of Bobby? No one, that's who. I mean, jeez. And then you hear quarterback sneak, caught him with the pants down. Touchdown, Ireland takes the lead. And then you see Bobby, he's just sweating because he's like, it's all good, it's all good. Peggy, again, turns to Hank and goes, Hank, tell me what's going on. I can't watch. And then you hear from the crowd, he's history. Yeah, Bobby Hill, get back here. And Bobby, literally in the costume, runs off the field because he doesn't want to get his ass kicked. Field. Yeah. And Hank stands up because all these people are like, boo, Bobby, get back here. He's like, wait, no. This is some kind of comedy bit. He's going to turn around any second. Maybe he's just going to the car. Oh, he's gone. Yeah, that's it.
And he's gone.
All right, and that is our first commercial break. We'll take that while Bobby is running down the street, and we will be right back. And we're back. Peggy and Hank are driving home. They're also looking around for Bobby. Hank says, I'm not surprised McMainberry won after that happened. God, I needed to use the restroom, but I couldn't face the guys at the trough. And so they're driving around. He sees Bobby in the middle of the road, still running, still dressed as a Longhorn. There he is. Peggy, they pull up beside him. She opens the truck door. He tries to get in, but he hits the horns on the door and then has to take it off, put it in a different way and all that. And Peggy says, whether people were booing or cheering, you got a reaction. And by golly, that's what counts. That sounds like a mother.
That does sound like a mother.
Trying to make anything positive.
Or a supportive father.
Hank looks super disgusted about all of it. Just doesn't say anything. Now we're in the
I think that's funny that's like, oh, yeah, that's such a mom thing to say, but it should be a parent thing.
It should be. It should be.
Yeah, but you don't usually get that, you know.
Now we're in the alley with all four. Dale is talking to Hank. They should call Bobby the lame horn. What's he going to do for the big game against Belton? Show up in a chicken suit? Now, Belton. Let's talk about that for a second. Real place.
Very real. An extremely real place. I pass through it twice a week, 3 times a week.
They have gotten a lot bigger. I think they're like a 4A or something at this point.
They're big, yeah. It's the military stuff down there that's kind of they're not that far from
Fort Cavazos.
Yeah, Fort Cavazos. I was gonna say
Yeah.
Fort Hood, but it's no longer Fort
Used
Hood.
to be Hood, now it's Cavazos.
Yeah, it's now
yeah.
Fort Cavazos.
So he says, what's he going to do, show up in a chicken suit? Hank says, I got to take my mind off this. I'm going to treat myself to the hardware store. And he goes to leave, and then he comes back when Dale says, Hank, quarterback Keegan Evans' dad runs the paint shaker. And so he just comes right back. He's like, I don't want to see any of these people. All right, now we're at Tom Landry Middle School. We see the word wussy spray painted on Bobby's locker. Bobby says, well, at least they toned it down on the bathroom wall. They went after my family. It's rough. Connie.
Belton's actually a 5A.
5A. Great.
Yeah, they're a 5A school. They have over 13,400 and something students over all their schools.
Connie's standing there next to him. She says, don't worry, Bobby. Even with all the letters, I won't take your class picture out of the yearbook. And then somebody pushes his books down on the ground from behind him.
Yeah.
He turns around and goes, Nurse Jennings? And I mean, this is the school nurse, and she is so pissed off at this kid.
Yeah, she's mad.
She goes, pick him up. And then he goes to pick him up. She like kicks him. He goes, I said pick him up. Just bullying this
Bullying
kid.
him, yeah.
Up comes Mr. Grandy. Bobby, I'm going to need you to turn in your keys and your horns. My office, 5 minutes. And so, everybody is trying to make Bobby out to be the bad guy here because he didn't want to get his ass kicked.
Well, he didn't. Yeah, he didn't.
Yeah, which is a stupid thing. I don't know why that would continue.
That's a weird tradition.
So the next thing you see is Bobby pushing the big trash can with the suit in it down the hall because he's going back to Mr. Grandy's office. He passes by like the trophy case, right? And he sees all the different football trophies and stuff. And then he sees a headline that says, Arlen steals Belton Armadillo. And you can tell this is Bobby like, oh, maybe I could do that kind of thing, right? So now we're in the band room. And Mr. Grandy is talking to him, and he says, I understand you're just a kid. At the same time, what you did at the game was the most shameful act of cowardice I've ever seen. Jeez. That's rough.
Yeah, I know you're a kid, but you suck.
Yeah.
That's terrible. That's one of my favorite lines in the whole show, actually, in this episode.
Yeah, he takes the head from Bobby. Like, he's stripping him of all of his stuff. He goes,
Yeah.
Sir, please, I was born to wear the horns. You can't take them away from me. I got a plan, a great plan. It's going to work. He goes, yeah, what's the plan? Well, I can't tell you. Why not? It's a secret. Well, I do love secrets. It's just such a stupid thing. All right, so now we are at Dale's house.
Yep.
We see Dale.
This is fun, too. I like this interaction here.
He's on his inversion table, which is one of those things that you get on, and then it flips you upside down to, like, fix your spine or whatever. The point I really like about this is that he's put a strap on his baseball hat so it won't fall off whenever he goes upside down.
Yeah.
But he's got a cigarette, got no shirt on. He's hanging on this stupid thing. Bobby comes in. He goes,
Imagine, though, that's your friend's dad. And you're going over to hang out with your buddies, and your friend's dad's hanging upside down in his underwear with his cigarette hanging out of his mouth.
Okay.
And not only that, his baseball cap duct taped to his head.
That's right. He goes,
Wow.
You came to see me.
I actually I had a similar experience. It wasn't a friend's dad. It was actually a friend's uncle, and he was high on methamphetamines.
Wonderful.
And we went over to hang out. I went over to hang out with my buddy. This is when I was an adult. He was like, we were like in our 20s, and he was living with his aunt and uncle. And I went over there to hang out with him. And his uncle was on a bender, and he had his head completely wrapped from the eyebrow and all the way to the back of his head. He had constructed this foil helmet, and he ran through the house. Like, I'd been there about 20 minutes before all this kicked off, but he started ripping doors. They had a trailer house, and he was ripping the trailer doors off of their hinges out of the frames.
Good Lord.
And I was like, yeah, it's time to go at that point. But
meth is
similar, but I don't think that Mr. Gribble has an addiction to drugs, just an addiction to conspiracy theories.
Very much so. So he says, you came to see me. Hang on. Tries to get off the inversion thing. Can't. Just lays there upside down. Goes, state your purpose. He goes, Mr. Gribble, what would you say if I told you I'm going to steal the Belton Armadillo tonight? Dale says, I would say you're a madman or a genius.
Or a genius.
Maybe a little of both. I'll go 60-40. Bobby says, I need someone who knows alarms, and you've got the most in the neighborhood. He says, ever since those swaggering...
The most alarms in the neighborhood, not the most knowledge of alarms,
right,
but he has the most alarms, yeah.
Ever since those swaggering Boucher brothers stole the Armadillo back in 76, Belton's been keeping it under pretty tight security. That middle school is impregnable. Cannot be pregnated, except by me. But I don't come cheap. Cannot be pregnated. Yeah.
But I don't come cheap, yeah.
He goes, Bobby says, I don't have a lot of money. He goes, fine, I'll come cheap. You got $5? He goes, I can get 4. He goes, I'm in.
Yeah.
It's
That's packed cigarettes back then, yeah, in the 90s.
He's still trying to get out of the thing. Bobby says, do you need any help? He goes, with what? I mean, he just doesn't he doesn't want anybody to think he's stuck or anything. All right, we've got Hank and Peggy next door watching TV, and you hear on the screen, it's just so great to have you with us again. I don't know what they're showing. But Peggy says, it just seems like every time that Julia Roberts is on TV, she's only there to yap about her movie. Well, yeah, Peggy, that's kind of what they do.
Duh. That's funny that she says that. That's one of them asshole Peggy things. Oh, yeah, I get so tired of seeing celebrities on TV on these talk shows talking about their latest books and movies.
So Bobby,
that's the whole part of it. Yeah.
Bobby comes in. He goes, "Well, I'm headed over to Keegan Evans' house." That's a tough one to say. Hank looks at him and goes, "Really? But his dad said he hated you." Bobby says, "For what? The running away thing? It's ancient history. Some of the guys from the team are sleeping over, so you won't see me or hear me until the game tomorrow." Good cover, Bobby.
That is a really good cover. Not suspicious at all.
Not
though,
at all.
There's no suspicion.
Hank says, "Well, that's great. Now, don't let them tease you too much. Remember, you're the mascot, not the place kicker." Well, shit, Hank. All the kickers in the world. That's rough.
That's well, I mean, that's probably the worst thing to be on a football team.
That's
I
about the way they think of kickers, though.
I would take that back. Not the worst thing to be on a football team, but that is the worst position. I mean, I wouldn't want to be a kicker.
I think it's kicker
unless you are a kicker,
placeholder. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, the kickers though. These days, that sometimes they end up scoring more points than any other offensive player on the team.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure for the Dallas Cowboys, it was their kicker this year had 100 and something points on the year or something like that. He had more points than any other player or whatever on his team.
Well, think about it. They get to score every time anybody else scores. You know.
Yeah, they get to
that's a big deal.
And all points go to the kicker.
Yeah.
Whereas
field goal.
Yeah.
Extra
Whereas
point.
Quarterbacks get touchdowns
as well as hate 2-point conversions. Kickers.
Oh yeah, they do.
They're like, God damn, you take a
well, you know they're really going to hate it when the NFLPA and the NFL rearranges the position period, because there's been talks over the last couple of years of trying to do away with the kicker position to make it where it's all because they want action, and they feel like the kicking position it's not like back in the day when it's like a blizzard and Vinatieri's going up to kick and everybody's cheering him on. Nobody really sees the kicker like that anymore. There is no legendary kickers like that these days.
When they make 65-yard kicks, that's something. Because everybody kind of goes
until they start doing it regularly.
Yeah,
and once one guy does it and it becomes like the standard to kick at 65, it doesn't become exciting anymore.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's why I think when they scooted the field goals back a little bit, I was like, well, what does it matter if it's forward or back at that range? If they can't, like the guy that's kicking it, if he can't make it, then he's not going to have a job after he misses a couple of those anyway.
Yeah. Bobby says, "Hey, Dad, I was thinking maybe you want to invite Dub Taylor to the game." Hank says, "Dub Taylor? Are you sure?" Because Dub's the old mascot, right? Bobby says, "I want to hear from him that I'm the best mascot since he wore the horns." So, I mean, Hank is like, okay, great. Yeah. You know, he's proud of that. All right, so now we're at Belton Middle School at night. No idea if this is accurate or not. But there are some kids in there guarding the armadillo. Dale is looking through the little tiny window up top, and then we come out and we see that Dale is on Bobby's back looking through the window instead of the other way around. The Bugabago is there. He goes, "Steady." Bobby says, "What's going on? What's going on?" He goes, "I'm reading lips. There's 4 kids in there and tough ones too." Bobby says, "Don't you have some poisons in your – Jesus, Bobby." He goes, "Don't you have some poisons in your truck you can pump in there to make them fall asleep?" Dale says, "I do, but the amount of poison that you put 4 kids to sleep might also kill an armadillo. The kids might not wake up either." Bobby says, "Well, how are we going to get that dillo away from 4 kids?" He goes, "Well, we're lucky. According to the one they call Dude, There used to be 8 guardians. The other 4 went to steal the Longhorn costume, where they will run into, 24 of the baddest 8th graders protecting the costume. Bobby's like, oh, shit. We didn't think about
They weren't thinking about that.
No,
That's
didn't.
funny that they had the 8th graders sleeping in the field house protecting this mascot is funny.
Bobby says, but nobody said anything about. He goes, please tell me you at least put up a maze of mirrors to thwart the would-be costume rustlers. Broken glass, oil slick, piece of string, anything. So they did not guard their side like Belton is guarding theirs. So we see the Bugabago. It pulls up at Tom Landry Middle School, and the bike's right up to the school too, which are the Belton kids. They're trying to break in and get in there as well. Bobby goes and unlocks it with a key, goes in and finds the costume, and he's like, whew. Dale says to him, go, save the costume. I'll find a parking space. And then these guys come in. They break the window. They finally get in, and they're coming for this costume. They're banging on the door. Bobby from behind the door, go away. The Longhorn is heavily guarded. One of the Belton boys says, who's that? Bobby Hill? Come on, guys. We'd better go. Like, just really mocking him, because he's the one that runs away. Out in the car, Dale is on the flip phone. He goes, Bill, it's Dale. Guess who's got your cell phone? This is like the most sub-B plot. It's just Bill bought a cell phone. That's the whole thing. Yeah. You hear Bobby say, Mr. Gribble, help. And he's trying to push the costume out the tiny window up top. Dale looks at him and goes, how? Be specific, Bobby. I'm not a mind reader here. Well, just help him.
You just
Dale,
help him.
you
Yeah.
idiot.
He's about to get his butt whooped.
And Bobby says, they're breaking down the
Get him out of
door. And then he says they're breaking down the door. Dale goes, and just drives off. I mean, that's all it took was some 8th graders are coming after him.
Well, 8th grader's going to probably whoop his ass too.
So Bobby's like, wait for me. The Belton boys finally break the door down. They don't see Bobby or anything in there. And he goes, why don't you just run away like you did at McManaberry, or you can stay and take the beating you missed out on, blah, blah, blah. They bust open the storage door. They see the Longhorn's head sitting on top of the can and the window open. And one of the Belton boys says, yeah, what a coward. It's too bad. I wanted to give him a beating. And so from their point of view, Bobby crawled out that window and took off again like a coward.
And he's gone.
Yep, he's gone.
From what they know.
All right, and we gone too. We're going to take a second commercial break, and we'll be right back. All right, and we are back for the third and final leg of Season 5, Episode 7. We hear, so now we're at the game. Again, here comes Mike Soto.
Yep.
But he's out selling peanuts at this point.
Peanuts, get your peanuts.
Yeah. Peggy says, I think I see Bobby. Wait, no, that's a smudge on my glasses. Hank, look at this smudge on my glasses. It looks just like Bobby. I mean, Peggy. Hank says, hey, Daffy Dub, get over here. You old son of a gun. How was the drive? Because Dub is there, who used to be the mascot. Apparently, Dub's a little nuts. And I don't know if it was all the beatings to the head or what it was.
I'm going to attribute it to CTE from
I don't doubt that.
rolling around a trash can, getting beat up by
That could be
the
it.
opposing team. I still don't get that. I don't get how that becomes a tradition where the opposing team
Beats up
of your rival, your biggest rival, beats up your mascot.
Not only the opposing team, but the opposing team's band.
The opposing team's
I mean,
band.
That's
the worst of the worst.
It's way down.
It could have been. It would have been better if it was the cheerleaders beating him up
That's
or
right.
something. I mean,
at least
having the band go out there, who wants to get beat up by band nerds? And I mean, it's band nerds beating up the kid in the mascot is like kids who play D&D beating up kids who play Magic the Gathering.
Well, it's like the blind kids beating up Mike Soto while they're bowling or something. You know? So Dub, who's crawling up the things there, he goes, "This stinking crowd is dead. What is this? Gold dang Wimbledon? Here we go, Longhorns. Here we go." I mean, he's trying to get the crowd, like he was when he was the mascot. Because again, I'm assuming for Dub, this was the pinnacle of his life. Being the mascot.
Yeah.
Everything after that's just
nothing.
Gravy or whatever.
Nothing.
Yeah. And so Hank looks at Peggy and goes, "What'd I tell you about Dub?" She goes, "That he has a lot of pep." He says, "That's right." And then you hear Dub again. "We are the Landrymen. Fight, fight, fight." He's got an air horn, the whole thing. He looks at
he's going all out.
he looks at Hank and goes, "You got any face paint?" He goes, well, Peggy's got some lipstick. I mean, that's the best Hank can do. He goes, oh, my God, it's Peggy Platter from West Arlen. West Arlen sucks. Like right in her face.
Well, see, that's the thing right here when they say West Arlen, Arlen High and West Arlen High. So that shows that Arlen is bigger than what we would perceive it to be. Then.
I think it's about as big as our town because we have 2 high schools, you know?
Don't we have I thought there was 3.
No, it's just 2, yeah.
Oh, they shut the other one down, right? Yeah.
Waco
okay.
High and University. That's
so where do they send all the A.J. Moore kids go to university now then?
A.J. Moore kids do go to
Or they go to either
university.
school? Where do they spread them out? Or
A.J. Moore goes to university. Indian Spring goes to Waco High.
Okay, so university is like the
University's the
collegiate program. They have all the college stuff.
Yeah,
all the
a lot of that stuff.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
the kids that do the taxes and all that stuff.
Yeah, all the tech stuff, like the robots.
They do, yeah.
They don't do all that at Waco High?
Waco High has some of that stuff, yeah.
Just not as much.
Not as much,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Well, they
hard
were
to
limited.
being an inner city school.
Well, they were also limited on space, and so now that they're building that new high school, I know this means nothing to anybody outside of Waco.
Yeah, it really
but
doesn't.
they're building a brand new high school here, big one, and so I'm sure after that they'll have plenty of room for all those programs.
Speaking of Waco, I invited the male guy.
Oh, great.
To be on the podcast, so I'm going to get scheduled with him for him to
Awesome.
come in and hang out.
I'd love that. All right, so we're now at the point where that Dub is asking if you got any face paint. He goes, lipstick. He says, oh, my God, it's Peggy. West Arlen sucks. Dale comes up. He's just gotten his hot dog and his peanuts and his drink or whatever, and he goes, well, isn't this ironic? The best Longhorn ever and the father of the worst Longhorn ever. I say that because Bobby was guarding the Longhorn costume last night. Some kids came to steal it, and he turned tail and ran. Hank says, well, that's impossible. Bobby was sleeping over at Keegan Evans' house. Dale says, that sleepover was a cover story. I was with him. We were trying to steal the Belton Armadillo. And long story short, you raised a coward. Jesus, Dale.
That's rough.
Hank's like, oh, God. Peggy says, wait, you were with him? Where is he? Where's my baby boy? Hank says, don't worry, Peggy. He's probably camped out in some bushes. No, that takes guts. He probably spent the night at Denny's. His kid just spent the night sitting in a Denny's.
Yeah.
Dub says, I drove all the way from Pensacola for this. Pensacola. So he drove from Florida for this one thing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He goes, I came here for a football game, not a soap opera. And then you see this the kid come out, a Belton kid. He's got the armadillo with him. He says, hey, Landry, losers, where's your Longhorn? The crowd's like, our mascot sucks. And Dub's like, that's it. And he gets out of there. And then Hank comes, he says, let's get out of here before Dub gets back. Peggy looks at him and says, how many days is he staying with us? Hank says, 3. He's letting this idiot stay with him for 3 years.
That's rough.
All right, so now we're in the Belton storage room. The Belton boys leave the trash can that's got their costume in it and the armadillo. They're in the storage room. There's 2 kids in there. One of them says, man, I didn't come a cheerleader to guard a trash can. Well, I don't really understand that.
Yeah, I don't get that either.
I guess what we've referred to as one of the boys is a cheerleader, which, I mean, whatever, that's great.
Yeah.
But they're in there to guard the trash can and the armadillo, and so they just leave. Once they leave, you see the lid of the trash can pop up. Bobby has been stowing away in the trash can this whole time.
Yeah.
He gets out. He's like, oh, my foot's asleep. And then he looks at the armadillo and goes, okay, Mr. Crackers, nice and easy. Nobody gets hurt. He's now got the armadillo and he's got a megaphone and he heads out to the field. Now we're looking at Hank. He says, if anyone yells, there's Bobby Hill's parents, just start to look around and say, oh, where? He's talking to Peggy.
That's terrible. That man,
it is pretty rough.
Boy, he's an asshole for that. That's a jackass thing to do right there.
You see a Belton kid go into the storage. He's going to get, I'm assuming, going to get the armadillo. He goes, oh no, security, this way. He finds out that the armadillo is gone.
Yeah.
That he now understands that Bobby was stowing away. The suit's gone. Now you got Bobby in the mascot suit running down the hall, hiding around corners and stuff as they're running after him. And then the crowd outside is like, can't touch this, Belton, Bo Belton. Security guard sees Bobby running down the hall, kind of corners him and goes, there you are. All right, kid, step slowly towards me and surrender Mr. Crackers. Yeah, that's right. They'll rip you apart. And then we get somebody saying, hey, you Belton losers, look what I found. And it is Bobby. and he comes out and he's got the armadillo with him. So he
Yep.
has successfully
He's got him.
stolen the armadillo,
which is
He's
hilarious.
dancing around in the suit with the armadillo. Hank is like, Bobby? And then Bobby says, Bobby, hello, got the dillo. I mean, Bobby never lets
MC
anything go
Bobby,
by.
yeah.
And Hank says, check it out, Peggy. Bobby's got Mr. Crackers. Bobby's got Mr. Crackers. And then you hear Dub, bite its face off. Well, Dub's nuts. Dub's nuts.
Dub is nuts.
One of the crowd members says, get him. And Bobby says, you can't get this. And then you hear one of the football players, yeah, Bobby Hill, Longhorns. Band teachers, all happy. Wonderful. And then Hank, all right, Bobby, way to go, son. And then Bobby gets tackled and continues to get tackled and tackled and tackled.
And
And Hank's just like, Bobby just started a new tradition. Now we have the McManaberry whipping and the belting beating. What a great time to be a Longhorn. And the last thing you see is Bobby on the bottom of this pile. All these kids start piling on. Connie takes a picture and puts it in the yearbook.
Yeah, that's rough.
So
That's rough. That's a rough tradition to have.
it is a rough tradition.
Your opponent beating the hell out of you if you were winning.
We get the
I don't get
credits. We get the credits, and then after the credits, we hear, "We are the Landry Men. Fight, fight, fight!"
That has to be some of the Yankees that were working on the show. There has to be somebody that didn't grow up in Texas. That
Yankees.
who was the writer? I'm gonna have to see who the writer was
I
for
don't
this
know who wrote this
episode,
one.
because that would never happen in Texas.
All right, let's. That is the end of season 5, episode 7. Thank you guys
Yeah,
for
that's
being here.
the
Let
end of
me-
it.
Let me do just a little bit of housekeeping here.
Yep, go for it.
real quick. So next Monday, I will be in Orlando. I am going there and maybe get to meet Artie in real life, which is kind of
Yeah,
cool. 'Cause
Artie.
He's called me a couple times. But I'm going to go there to speak at a podcast conference.
that'll be
So
fun.
I will be out of town when this next one comes. So I say all that to tell you guys that next Monday, probably going to be a short one. Because we're going to go ahead and try to get some stuff done so that you guys don't miss an episode, so that we don't miss anything for you guys.
Yeah, we
But-
don't want to give y'all like a half-ass episode either.
Yeah,
so
just,
we will
just
be able
kinda-
to give you something.
Yeah, just kind of stand still for us for a week if you don't mind, and then when we get back, we'll pick back up with regular stuff. But we will have something for you next Monday and next Friday.
But also, we launched our. By the time this airs, it'll be out, right?
Yeah, definitely.
We launched our new podcast. The trailer's already out. You can find us on all social media for that, on Instagram and Twitter at Funky Ear Podcast. The podcast is called Swimmer's Ear, and I'm gonna try to have a little fun with it and like make some like my own little bumpers, like the
Yeah.
thing that I sent you
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
made a bunch of them
Yeah, it's
last night. One of them was like this jug of dirty water
Yeah.
that's like tipped out, and then I just threw the swimmer's ear thing on there. I don't
Yeah,
know. There's
that's
lots
cool.
of fun stuff. So actually, a call to you guys. Go follow that for us. If you're listening to Bois and you want to hear more from Mike and I, go Mike and I go follow Funky Ear Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. I'd appreciate it.
Yeah. So Swimmer's Ear is going to be fun. The first one we do is unedited footage of a bear, which is one of my favorites. But because of this, I've been watching a lot of those infomercials, those Adult Swim infomercials, and we'll get to some of those. We'll get to some other episodes, some series, things like that. Now, do you want to tell them who on our second episode?
On our second
we're going
episode,
to have a very special guest, and who is that?
Hopefully, our second episode. If we don't have to reschedule it, hopefully
That's
that
true.
everything goes as
An
planned.
upcoming episode.
An
How about
upcoming
that?
episode will be none other than Carrie Means, who is the voice of Frylock.
Frylock.
On Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and he
Yeah.
also was the voice of the next door neighbor to Brack on the Brack show, Thundercleese, Mr.
big robot.
Thundercleese, the big robot.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that should be fun.
and he actually is in the very first episode of Aqua Teen Hunger Force as Frylock, and he's also in the very first episode of the Brack show as Thundercleese. The
That's
very
cool.
first episode, because the first episode of the Brack show, he's supposed to be babysitting Thundercleese's fish.
Oh, okay.
Like watching his
Yeah.
fish, and he kills his fish.
Fish sitting.
He overfed him, and he killed him.
Look,
so.
you spoiled the ending for me.
There you go.
But yeah, so we got some stuff coming up. Again, don't forget about the live show we have coming. That's going to be March 1st. Big block party here, February 29th, March 1st, and March 2nd.
Yeah, so if you're anywhere on the I-35, I-45 corridor, and you want to come hang out, we're really like smack dab in the middle of Texas. So It's not hard I don't think it's really too far of a drive. The furthest drive would be if you're in Houston, and it's a 2.5 hour drive.
Waco's
so
pretty easy to get to, though.
It's accessible.
Fairly easy to get around here.
Yeah, it's really not that hard to get around here. And then in the beginning of March, it's really there's not a whole lot of stuff
but if you give
going on to impede traffic.
If you give us a heads up, we'll make sure that if you need help getting here or whatever, that's great. We've got a couple of podcasts that are flying in from different locales that are going to do live shows, but we are doing a live show. I believe maybe ours is on Saturday. I don't remember. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, one of those.
Yeah.
But Flame Trick Subs, who do our theme, will be there to do a live show also, and they will open up for us, which never thought that would happen in my life.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Yeah,
it's very cool.
Kind of cool.
Lots of new shows at Rogue Media. We've got Ned Hillsdale, Private Detective. We have Snack Attack. We have, this week started Cultastic.
Okay.
Cultastic is a show where a new cult is being built week by week by ChatGPT. So we put the prompts in there and say, okay, now what's the next rule of the cult, or whatever.
Oh, that thing. Okay.
It spits it out, and then as we go, we're going to build this cult. So
sounds fun.
If you guys are looking for a group to join, or you just like the sound of a cult, let us know. But anyway, we'll see you next week. And thank you guys for being here. We really appreciate every single one of you. Also, there was a question about Swimmer's Ear, and we will answer that on Friday.
On Friday's episode.
Yeah, we'll answer that on Friday because we got a couple of calls to take, and then we'll do some of our other nonsense.
Yeah, so go check us out at BWAAKOTH, anywhere you get podcasts, BWAAKOTH.com, and go to roguemedianetwork.com/BWAAKOTH.
And that is it.
That's it. We matanye.
We matanye indeed. This has been a Rogue Media Network production.